everybody.
All right.
We're playing with lighting effects.
I think we're
Go the other way.
relatively live. Oh, you're gonna get to see Lee for a brief moment.
My shirt.
Oh,
We don't want to get censored.
all right.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
All right.
We have
Facebook
a Nico down here playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if no.
and Miss Yuna's gonna make her
Very brief appearance.
very brief, reluctant appearance. So everybody say hi to Yuna.
Hi, Una.
As soon as I take my hand away, she's going to. Oh, no.
Are you going to operate the computer tonight and make all the comments?
That's what she's in charge of.
Speaking of, I need to get signed in there.
Yes, you do.
Oops. So, hope everybody's doing well. Happy Monday. Last day of July.
Loot.
Halfway through the...
End of my birthday month.
Yes, the end of your birthday month. Halfway through the most... generally the, knock on wood, the 2 most miserably hot months of the year around here. But yeah, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Last
exhausting.
week was bad.
Last week was very hot. Feel like still recovering from that.
Uh-huh.
How did your rainy tour go?
Actually, not too bad because I altered our John Marshall route just a wee bit and ended up getting undercover right after it started raining.
Yep.
John Marshall has a lot of cover.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So.
And we told 2 stories undercover, and then it basically went bye-bye, and I got to tell the last story.
Yep.
Nice.
So yes,
Good job.
we had some nasty storms around here on Saturday evening, but we managed to get our tours off all the same.
Yep.
And
Hey, I ended with a double rainbow, so, you know, hey.
Yeah.
Yep. Had a good time with our friends over at the John Marshall House and the Center for Paranormal Research and Investigation, CPRI.
Yes.
Always a ridiculously fun time.
Always.
We actually had one of my guests get touched while she was inside the John Marshall House.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So,
What room?
Mary's room.
Of course.
Yeah. No, well, not Polly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But in Mary's room by the window where they see the orb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because
Sir, don't knock that
I don't know.
over.
There's some interesting feelings in that room, and with my group. And
Nico.
Brad and I heard footsteps upstairs while we were all downstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Saturday was a really good night there at the John Marshall
It was.
House.
So I'm sure the thunderstorm was feeding some activity.
Yeah, but we'll be back there again at the end of next month. I think August 26th, another Saturday night. And actually, tickets are already a quarter of the way sold for that one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
If you
Get
haven't
them
been,
now.
get them now.
yeah. So usually, even in October, usually it's like the week leading up to the tours is when things wind up selling. But a quarter of our tickets are sold for the John Marshall House tour at the end of next month. So if you want to join us for that, jump on it.
Yeah, that'll be Lee and Marcia, because I'll be flying home from West.
Yes. I'll be there. Doing the whole ringmaster type thing. Hopefully not getting eaten by the lions. I don't know where I came up with that. It's not like the John Marshall
We
House
have
has lions.
4 cats.
Yes, this is true, but that wouldn't be at
We
the
have
John
many-
Marshall House.
We have many panthers.
We do. And they may decide to,
Snack on you while I'm gone?
Yes.
They're not allowed to do that.
you're going to have a talk with them before you leave. But in any case, yeah, so we're, what are we here to talk about tonight?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus,
because it is stupid haunted in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, so lots of spooky stuff there, which, I mean, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. There are a lot of spooky shows and stuff like that are based in Ohio, and even the shows that aren't based in Ohio, like the Ghost Hunters and stuff like that, they've been to Ohio for multiple places.
Yeah.
A couple of them are going to be, we'll talk about a couple of them tonight.
Yeah.
There's a mayor in Ohio that has a Facebook page that is dedicated to just being weird.
That's awesome.
It's gorgeous.
But yeah, so yeah, we got a few stops to go ahead and bounce around good old Columbus, Ohio. Just about an 8-hour drive up the road from us here in Richmond.
It's only 8 hours away.
It's only about 8 hours away. Another capital city.
Who hissed?
I didn't hear any
I didn't
hissing.
hear it.
It's a ghost.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't have.
You
any,
did not write.
I
an
did.
intro.
Oh, I didn't write an introduction for Columbus, Ohio. Shame on me.
Okay, I got one.
Go for it.
Columbus, Ohio.
You forgot haunted.
Haunted. Is haunted. See? There you go.
But yeah.
Alright.
Oh, and Roberta. So Roberta is from Ohio, not Columbus, but she's from Ohio. Thank you for watching again, Roberta. Glad you're here tonight. It says that visit there a couple times a year, and there's a lot of Native American burial mounds across
That makes
Columbus.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we admittedly we don't have really anything like nothing Native American on this particular episode, but yeah, there is a lot of yeah, the natives certainly had a very strong presence there, and a lot of spooky stuff.
There are lots of people.
So let's
telling
just
the native
dive right in
stories.
on this. Okay. We're going to dive right into the edge of downtown Columbus with an earshot of traffic cruising along I-71. This is a charming Victorian style home that dates back to 1875. The brick structure with customary 2 stories plus attic. Thurber House is a beautiful home featuring many of the architectural flourishes of the Victorian era, including wood finishes, beveled glass, and ceramic fireplaces. Before the neighborhood that the house resides in was built, this part of Columbus had been home to the Central Ohio Lunatic Asylum. Y'all know where this is going, right?
Of course.
The asylum burned down in 1868, killing 6 women in the fire and fatally injuring another. A large parcel of land that this institution sat on was then divided into 3 residential sections, and the Thurber's house is on one of these 3 parcels. Each section had an oblong, oval-shaped park in the middle of their section, making it a very fashionable neighborhood. While we were unable to find information on the original tenants of the Thurber's house, it's reasonable to assume that a well-to-do family lived there until the turn of the century. In 1900, it was converted into a very desirable rental property. Many people enjoyed this home, including the Thurbers. The home's furnishings reflect the popular Mission Oak-style decor found in the Sears catalog around 1913, and this is to reflect the time when well-known cartoonist and witty short story author James Thurber lived there with his parents and brothers. He was the middle son of the 3 Thurber boys, his older brother being William, his younger brother being Robert. The 3 of them must have been, well, let's just say a handful. James lost his sight in one eye while playing William Tell with his brothers. He totally went blind later in life. The family only lived in this house for a time. It's one of 3 houses that they lived in while they lived in Columbus. After the Thurbers moved on to another home in Columbus, the home temporarily stopped being a rental, and in the early 1920s became the Wallace Collegiate School and Conservatory of Music. For James's part, it was at Thurber House that he lived while he was attending Ohio State University. Because he couldn't complete the required ROTC course at Ohio State, he wasn't able to graduate from college. But he was given a posthumous degree. Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
Thank you. After a lifetime of literary contributions and cartoon fun, his natural talent and gifts opened up doors of opportunity for him, even without having a college degree. Because of James's contributions to the literary field, because of those literary contributions, that the home was saved from the wrecking ball. After serving as a conservatory and music school for a couple of decades, the home was again converted back to the rental in 1946, this time in the form of a boarding house. Boarding house status led the home to fall into a state of disrepair and instability. In the 1970s, a lot of older homes were being torn down, but the Thurber House was donated instead to the Jefferson Center for the Learning and the Arts due to someone's considerable efforts to preserve its history. In 1983, the outside of the home was restored, following an old photograph and remaining its physical evidence of what was originally there. The front porch and the stairs leading up to the home's second floor were entirely rebuilt by local master craftsmen, and with the help of Robert Thurber, James's younger brother, the restoration of the interior began in March of 1984. Robert was an important source of information to make sure that this was done authentically. He remembered a lot of the details from the decor to the habits of the Thurber family. Now owned by the Jefferson Center for the Learning and the Arts, the Thurber House is a literary center offering year-round programming for adults and children. Some of the family's personal items have been donated to this house museum of sorts. On display are Robert's sports memorabilia collection, some of William's Western and American Indian paintings, and a selection of James's manuscripts, cartoons, letters, first edition of his books, and some of his honors, awards, and original drawings. Some of his books and memorabilia are on sale in the Thurber County bookstore located in the dining room. Along the walls of the second floor between the bedrooms are pictures of the Thurber family, and important family documents are hung up. Down the back staircase leads to the dining room. One can see the Wall of Fame. These are pictures of all the authors who have visited the Thurber house throughout the years. The Literary Center and previous home has long had a reputation for hauntings. James Thurber himself claims to have heard a ghost in the house on November 17th of 1915, and is believed to his dying day that the home was haunted. He even changed the address of the house in his short story, The Night the Ghost Got In, so he wouldn't scare the people who were living at 77 Jefferson Avenue. Two historical items are potentially associated with the unusual activity. Of course, there's the aforementioned Central Ohio lunatic asylum that burned down. And also, in 1904, a few years before the Thurber family moved in, a prominent jeweler named Thomas Tracy Tress was living at the house. One evening, while he was in his bedroom getting ready for supper, he picked up a gun he thought was not loaded and accidentally shot and killed himself in the home. His funeral service was held in the home a few days later. James Thurber recalled seeing shadow people walk from front of the windows. He also experienced hearing a man loudly walking around his kitchen table while he was upstairs in the bathroom. James and his brother approached the sound, which continued to move closer to them, coming up the stairs. James did not see anything and quickly retreated into the bathroom until the sounds of the footsteps ended. James also witnessed books quickly moving across the room without the help of anyone that he could see, and over the years some guests have had books thrown at them, sometimes accompanied by an indistinct figure as well. A still photo of one of their ghosts was taken and hung on the wall at the top of the stairs. It looks like a translucent apparition wearing pants. Visitors to the Thurber house are welcome to ask about the ghost. Over the years, a wide variety of unusual activity has been reported by both staff and guests, including a clock chiming despite it not being actually operational. The glass in the picture frame inexplicably shattering all over the floor. Also sightings of glowing orbs and a man in a collared shirt, plus those phantom footsteps that have been heard by James, have also been heard by the staff and guests. And then there's the sensation of being touched, poked, and a little bit more than that. The deputy director of Thurber House, Anne Tovell, spoke of the events around the demise of the jeweler who lived in the home. Quote, "One story we always heard was that, years before Thurber moved in, a man and his wife lived in the home. A man got a strange phone call saying, 'Go home, you'll find your wife in the arms of a strange man.' He comes home, finds that, and ends up shooting her and then shooting himself. But that's not the real story. In fact, in 1904, Thomas Tracy Tress, who was a prominent jeweler, as we mentioned, lived here with his wife. One night he was upstairs with his wife and someone named Miss Tina Ackerman. I've always wondered who she was, but they haven't been able to find out that information." And Thomas's wife mentioned something about his gun, which was sitting out, being dangerous. He said, "Oh, but it's not dangerous. It's not loaded. See?" He put it up to his chest and shot himself. So someone did die here, although not as sinisterly as we originally thought.
Just stupid.
Yeah, just very stupid.
However, a ghost group came in here once, and the electronic voice phenomenon they recorded was as clear as day. They asked up to the air, "Did you accidentally shoot yourself in this house?" And I swear the voice came back on the recorder saying, "Ask her." A staff member at the Thurber House, Leah Wharton, explained other bizarre things that happened in the room where Tress passed away. Leah said, "We've had people report seeing an image of a man dressed in a colored shirt behind them in the mirror. We had one resident who brought her dog. The dog wouldn't let me get near the corner." On a separate event, one of the in-house writers who stayed one summer in the attic apartment described having his own encounter with the deceased jeweler. He described a large, overweight, somewhat stooped, black-torsoed shadow that was seen passing by a second-story window, blocking out the hallway light. Leah also told of a broken clock that had somehow started working again one day. She recalled while we were back on the show for Ghost Hunters, they were investigating. They caught on camera the front of this clock face opening up by itself, and it's not easy to open up. Leah then proceeded to demonstrate just how difficult it was to open the door on the clock face. It's not something that would have just happened. She also talked about how the spirited presidents in the Thurber House seemed to push some people away. She said, "We had a cleaning crew who comes in here to clean up after hours and on weekends. They won't come in at night anymore. They've had things happen to them." And that's all they would say.
Yeah, Nico.
I'm not sure if he's happy or not.
I don't think he's happy, but he's not fighting it either.
But Mommy needs to hand this over to Daddy. Are you going to be good?
It's good. I don't know good.
How about you go play with Lee or your brother? Just don't knock the camera.
Well, he took his little thing away.
Yeah, apparently you're making enough of a ruckus they can hear you in the background.
Oh boy.
Dragging that tail around.
It's his favorite toy.
Favorite toy.
He brings it to bed.
But yes.
I don't have your toy, dude. Go get your toy.
And we have Alex here now. Happy Monday, Alex.
Hey, Alex, what's up?
All right. So, moving on, we are going to go to Ohio State University. Now,
Let me just preclude this with, I could do an entire episode on Ohio State University. I didn't.
maybe one day. Today is not that day. We're going to give you a nice little sample, though. So, ideally,
I like this one.
Yeah, this is a good one. I like this. Ideally, institutions of higher learning are environments where young people who are first stepping out on their own are encouraged to become independent thinkers and dynamic individuals. In the face of so much newness, university and college cultures often develop systems of ritual and ceremony, which provide a contrast to this independence as well as comfort and structure to students as they transition into adulthood. At Ohio State University, one such annual ceremony, if you want to call it that, is Football Week. And one of the most notable rituals involved with Football Week is for many of the students to jump into the frigid waters of Mirror Lake before the football game with Ohio State's biggest rival, the University of Michigan. Now, where did this icy tradition originate? And maybe that this now voluntary form of masochism has descended from a turn-of-the-century hazing ritual where upperclassmen would assert their dominance by throwing freshmen into the lake. This became a common occurrence during May Week, an annual demonstration of school spirit, and as the rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan grew, May Week activities slowly shifted to the increasingly popular Beat Michigan Week, and the tradition of voluntarily throwing oneself into the lake was born. The idea of young people being cast into a lake before an important event has been around for centuries. The Aztec, Mayan, Celtic, and Nordic cultures all participated in this practice as an offering to their gods during significant times of the year. And although the young people they hurled into the water were victims of human sacrifice in those ancient times, the Mirror Lake jump certainly invokes thoughts of these ancient rituals and has on at least one occasion proven to be just as deadly. It was only in 2015 that a 22-year-old Dayton man died during the annual ritual. After this tragic event, the university stepped in and put a stop to the Mirror Lake plunge. According to the campus rumor mill, this wasn't the only time such a tragedy occurred. Stories persist of a member of the Alpha Omicron Pi sorority that broke her neck during a Mirror Lake jump in the 1980s. The legend states that her fellow sorority sisters carried the body back to the house and hid her to avoid the repercussions of underage drinking gone horribly wrong. Ever since, many have claimed to hear screaming and splashing in the waters of the lake, only to see the surface mirror smooth when they turn to find the source of the commotion.
So hiding a cadaver is less punishable
Well,
in their minds?
college students make questionable decisions. Drunk college students make even more questionable decisions. And drunk college students that are in a panic really make very, very questionable decisions. So, yes. Anyways, another tale tells of a jogger that was killed during the lake and near the lake during a mugging. This young man is said to be seen running by the lake, looking over his shoulder before vanishing into thin air. He is often said to create a cool rush of air as he runs past the visitors to the lake. Then there is the Lady of the Lake. Yeah, there's another one. There's Lady of the Lake all over the place.
It's like the Gray Lady that's everywhere.
They have one here too. So since the 1920s, people have witnessed the apparition of a woman in turn-of-the-century clothing glide across Mirror Lake on cold, wintry nights and mornings. Some believe her to be a mysterious ice skater, but most know her as the wife of Frederick Converse Clark. Excuse me. Clark was a professor of economics and sociology that lost all of his money when he invested in a Georgia gold mine project that failed miserably. Aside from the obvious blow to his credentials as a professor of economics, the financial ruin left Clark despondent and suicidal. After airing his feelings to Dr. Oxley Thompson and getting no sympathy, the depressed professor took his own life on September 21st, 1903, in a garden overlooking Mirror Lake. Clark's wife blamed the university's insensitivity to her husband's plight as the cause of his death and vowed to haunt the grounds after her passing. In 1922, the university built Pomeranian Hall on the site of Clark's suicide garden, and appears that the spirit of Mrs. Clark decided it would be a fine building to inhabit when not gliding across the lake. It is here that she is thought to be responsible for doors that lock and unlock of their own accord, the sound of footsteps across empty rooms, and the manipulation of computer voice software, occasionally causing machines that aren't even turned on to greet the living with a dull electronic hello. For reasons unknown, she is most fond of room 213, where she is seen in a pink antebellum dress moving across to a window that overlooks the very lake that her husband last gazed upon before taking his life 120 years ago.
So she's the original Siri.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
So Crasher commented that it's safer to be a geek, and my comment back is, unless you're part of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But the geek knowledge helps there.
Yep. And then there's also the Scooby-Doo gang.
Yes.
I mean, granted, they all always make it out alive, but Scooby-Doo gang. So, creepy stuff going on.
Do you want to do this one? Because you like the name.
I can carry on. Yes. You're going to make me do this
Yes,
one
I
because
am.
of it. Okay, fair enough.
And I've got a cat.
Mm-hmm.
that I'm currently feeding with his toy because he just wants to play golf.
Okay. It looks like you are fishing on camera.
It does.
Fishing for cats. Yeah. Anyways, so, moving along. Situated in downtown, close to the courthouse complex, you can find the historic Jury Room Bar. Well, it hasn't always been known as the Jury Room. The brick structure that it resides in claims to be the oldest bar in Ohio. Based on maps and records and charred ceiling beams, the brick structure that houses the bar dates back to about 1831. According to historian Doreen Uha Sauer, author of Historic Columbus Taverns, and the land on which the building sits was originally awarded to American Revolution veteran Thomas Asbury as payment for soldiering. Some also say there may have been a Hopewell Indian burial ground on the property as well.
So we do have one in
We
there.
do have one mention of that in here, yes. Now, the jury room has gone through many changes over its 190-year existence. Even though it originally had no name when it first opened, it has borne many names. Weld Cafe, Irvin's Place, the J.F. Gazer Saloon and Boarding House, the 1831 Tavern, and Balls. Yes, just balls. Balls. So, anyways, come 2010, it was it was named the Jury Room. I haven't had enough to drink yet.
No.
Come 2010, it was renamed the Jury Room. It then briefly was renamed to the Blind Ladies Tavern from 2015 to 2018 and returned to the Jury Room in August of 2018. In recent years, the Jury Room has been a popular restaurant and event space in downtown Columbus. Now, while none of the other historic buildings that house old bars in Columbus can claim to be as old as the Jury Room's building, former owner Haus said that the oldest distinction depends on how you define it. Another downtown bar, Ringside Cafe, can claim to have continuously operated under a single name since the 1930s. So, it's got that going on. For many years, the Mound Street business didn't have a name. A wine and bar sign found in the basement likely hung outside at one time. And its proximity to the courthouse has made it an ever-popular spot for local politicians to wheel and deal over a drink. According to Haus, during the Civil War, the establishment also hosted Union soldiers as well as high-ranking Confederate officers from the nearby Camp Chase prison. Ladies of the evening entertained Union soldiers one night and Confederate soldiers the next. A photo from 1876 depicts the structure as the J.F. Gazer Saloon and Boarding House. In that year, the building stood a full 3 stories above Mound Street. However, by 1885, another photo reveals a 2-story structure. At some point between those years, a fire destroyed the top floor of the tavern. Sauer notes that evidence of the fire can be seen above the drop ceiling that was installed after the blaze to hide the smoke and soot-stained bits of the structure. Ghosts have reportedly haunted the historic and scarred building for years, especially the basement, which the current owner, Megan, states will not be in use. While Megan says that she doesn't believe in the paranormal or hauntings of her property, the Jury Room has been mentioned on numerous paranormal shows and was featured on The Dead Files during its first stint as the Jury Room in 2012. Of the spirits that linger on in the Jury Room, the most notable dates to the 1850s, during the time when men could get some companionship alongside their beverage of choice. At this time, Frances Miller was the madam of the brothel, and one evening Frances shot and killed Paulius Rupert, who was drunk and trying to break into the establishment after hours. The story goes a group of very drunk young German men were on their way home from a bar not far from Paulus's favorite brothel. He wanted them to all stop by to visit and get some entertainment from ladies of the night. When they got there, they were closed for business. However, he started pounding on the door. When asked who was at the door, Paulus refused to say who he was. He continued pounding and threatened to kick the door down. Frances was frightened and thought they were about to get robbed. She opened the door and shot him dead. She should have only been charged with manslaughter at most, but the news kept calling it murder. Frances Miller was convicted. Paulus was described as an amicable young man during the court trial, and Frances was often referred to in derogatory remarks for her role with the brothel. Paulus is thought to be stuck at what was once his favorite brothel, and while the brothel is long since gone, Paulus still seems intent to try and get his way sometimes. Female employees and customers have been pushed by unseen hands, and some have even seen a tall, shadowy figure stalking through the building. For Frances's part, she seems to still be at the Jury Room as well. She is noted to take the form of a sad woman, which would make sense for the impossible situation that she found herself in after that fateful night in the 1850s. We noted before that the current owner, Megan, has declared the basement to be off limits, and one bit of the investigation conducted by the Dead Files might help explain why. When Amy explored the space, she picked up on a dark and negative energy. The strong presence of an older man in the back of the basement who was on the verge of committing suicide after his only son died in World War I. The spirit was so oppressive that one of the investigators collapsed for a few minutes after crossing paths with its dark presence. Employees of the original jury room kept a written log of strange occurrences and ghostly sightings, and the previous owner, Laufman, said his chef heard piano music late at night. Staff also say that the burners of the stove have been turned on or off by an unseen force. Laufman also recalled some spooky figures have been seen walking up the back steps a couple of times. One of these bar stools has taken it upon itself to fall over when nobody was around. So, if you're looking for a spooky place to grab a bite to eat in downtown Columbus, the jury room might just be what you're looking for.
Sorry for my exit. I had to go do a really loud sneeze.
Okay,
So,
you're back.
I didn't want to hurt the kitties. Because, we don't hurt the kitties.
Patrick wants to know why balls. I don't know. It's very random, and just balls.
Yeah.
My guess, if I had to guess,
Was that when it was a billiard place?
probably it was a billiard hall, which would make some sort of sense, but
I mean, Frances had balls for shooting the guy that she thought was intruding. I go,
Yeah.
yay, her.
yeah, kudos to her. But
Paulus needs to go elsewhere, though. Yes, I turn into a cat.
yep,
I am a cat.
you are a cat.
See? Cat. I have a mummy cat on me. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the Elevator Brewery and Drought Haus. This is a craft bar, microbrewery, a restaurant that has resided in historic Columbus. Columbus, yeah, you wrote Columbia.
Autocorrect. For some reason, Word does not like Columbus. It wants to autocorrect it to Columbia.
Did you add it to the dictionary?
I didn't. I probably should. I mean, granted, it's too late for this show, but that's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the Columbus building in downtown for over 20 years. Built in 1897 by the Bott family and originally opened as Bott's Brothers Billiards. There's your alliteration for the night. And the Columbia building has been, are you sure it's not the Columbia building?
Oh, wait, no. This is the Columbia building.
In Columbus.
In Columbus.
Okay.
So, yes, but on that same note, Word does like to try and autocorrect Columbus to Columbia. So there was that as well.
I got a big one.
You do.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Alright, so it is a beautiful landmark that generations of Columbus residents and visitors have fallen in love with. The modern bar features a gorgeous hand-carved Philippine mahogany bar that was added to serve the whiskey that was being distilled on the second floor. The luxurious bar predates the building and was constructed for entry into the 1893 Columbian Exposition at the Chicago's World's Fair and consequently took home the coveted blue ribbon for craftsmanship. Brought here to Columbus by the Botts, it has served as the centerpiece to the building since the original opening. The building is on the National Registry of Historic Landmarks and has been restored to much of its original grandeur, boasting original architectural elements that include not only the, of course, aforementioned bar, but also the intricate mosaic tile flooring, stunning stained glass, and lavish decorative ceiling. Maintaining a steady business throughout Prohibition, several myths and legends have been attributed to the building throughout its 100-plus years of existence, including the presence of the resident spirits, which may have led many through the door in hopes of encountering something from the other side of the veil. One of the restaurant's primary features is a large clock in the front of the building. For years, it was stopped at 10:05, before eventually being replaced. The clock's stoppage was linked to the cold February night in 1909 and Colonel Randolph Pitchard, who was an infamous womanizer who frequented the saloon. Well, that stormy night, Pritchard was summoned to the door, and what he found there left him a changed man. A woman was waiting for him. As he approached her, she revealed a knife that she then used to stab the colonel over and over and over again. Pritchard stumbled into the bar and died bleeding out on that mosaic floor. When people went outside to see who killed him, they only found a woman's bare footprints in the snow running away from the building, and the clock outside the saloon stopped at 10:05, the exact moment of the colonel's death. When we said he would be left a changed man, well, dead is technically a change, right?
Yeah. He definitely was not in the same condition he went to the door.
Yeah. So, Pritchard's ghost now roams the restaurant and is seen every now and then. The colonel seen manifesting as a bright ball of light throughout the facility. His killer is also said to haunt the building as well. It's believed that she actually froze to death on the coldness of the night. It is also said that bare footprints mysteriously appear in fresh snow when no one has yet walked along that path. Some have even claimed to see the footprints appear before their eyes. Now, the truth to the story remains elusive. No death certificate for Pritchard was shown on a record in 1909, and a scan of the February 1909 Columbus Dispatch turned up nothing as well. Either way, you're bound to see snowy footprints on High Street in the winter, but in February, around the anniversary of the murder, check to see if those are womanly bare feet. Manager Jeff Setzer says that according to the legend on the anniversary of the murder, you'll be able to see the footprints if it's a snowy day. Bartender Rita Ruin admits there's definitely something here. Occasionally when she's setting up in the morning, chairs will move or bar stools will nearly spin around by themselves. One night, when only Setzer and the bartender remained in the building, Setzer was walking through the dark kitchen when he saw a white presence that made him turn abruptly. He says he felt the hair on the back of his neck raise and the presence disappear. He walked up to the front of the restaurant, talked to the bartender. Before Setzer could say anything to the bartender turned to him and said, "Weirdest thing just happened. Hair on the back of my neck just raised, and I felt this weird presence." Needless to say, Setzer was a little surprised for the immediate confirmation of his own experience. Aside from the ghastly, mysterious murder, there's one lesser-known legend of the Elevator Brewery involving a tunnel system that runs beneath Columbus. Numerous reports state that the Bott brothers had access to these tunnels via the basement of the Columbia building, but explorers have been unable to gain access to the basement to investigate these tunnels. They appear to be 3 separate doorways that could have led to the tunnel system at one time, but at last check they had all been cemented over. The tunnel system was used back in the day to transport goods, of the illegal kind, from business to business. Aside from all the drama, such as a possible murder and illegal transit in and out of the building, it's a cool restaurant and bar to check out. I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Alright, of course I couldn't do a story about Columbus, Ohio without including the cemetery.
But of course not.
Because cemetery.
Yeah. So, I don't know where all the other kitties went, but just got Nico left here. Everybody else seems to have bailed for now.
Luther's been walking around out there.
She must have settled down someplace else. Oh, Vincent's on the dining room table.
Looks like he's stalking somebody.
Probably stalking, you know.
A sister.
Anyways, yeah, so next we're going to move to the west, away from the heart of downtown and across the Scioto River. I should have checked the pronunciation on that. My bad.
Roberta, are you still with us?
But anyways, we're going to Green Lawn Cemetery. Now, when Columbus was laid out in 1812 to be the new capital city, the 4 proprietors of Columbus offered land and money to induce the Ohio General Assembly to come here. In return, these men hoped to make their future selling lots to people who would want to live in the new capital city. For a number of reasons, early churches in Columbus did not generally have a cemetery on the lot surrounding the church.
Rather, churchyard.
Yeah, or churchyard, graveyard. Rather, a town cemetery was needed. To that end, John Kerr came to the rescue. Kerr was one of the 4 proprietors of Columbus. In 1813, Kerr donated a couple of acres for a cemetery on relatively high ground immediately north of the town's limits at what is now Nationwide Boulevard. Over the years, the North Graveyard grew in size and became the main cemetery of the new borough and then city of Columbus. Kerr was a remarkable fellow. He is sometimes viewed as a rather laid-back and forgettable clerk who happened to donate a cemetery plot to Columbus. He was much more than that, however. Born in Ireland in 1778, Kerr emigrated to America and, like a lot of people, sought his fortune in the Ohio country. Eventually, he decided that Columbus was the place to be. Settling here with his small family, he became actively involved in civic affairs and served as the second mayor of Columbus. In 1823, a malaria fever swept through Columbus, killing many people, old and young. Kerr, with a wife and young children, died of the fever and was buried in the Old North Graveyard. He was just 45 years old. In a few years, his old friend and the first mayor of Columbus, Jarvis Pike, would be buried there as well. Over the years, North Cemetery came to stand in the way of progress, however. No more burials were allowed from 1862 to 1876, and eventually the Old North Cemetery was closed. With the opening of Green Lawn Cemetery in 1848 and the coming of the railroads to Columbus in the 1850s, public pressure began to build to close the cemetery for redevelopment of the land of the Old North Cemetery. In the 1850s and 1860s, many people were removed from North Cemetery and reburied elsewhere, many to Green Lawn Cemetery. Home to over 150,000 burials across 360 acres, Green Lawn Cemetery is the second largest burial ground in Ohio. Since 1848, it has served as a final resting place to many respected Columbus families, plus past governors and politicians. Several graves are said to be haunted, including the Gay Mausoleum and the Hayden Mausoleum. We will come back to this in a moment. Now, by the time the Old North Cemetery was closed in the late 1870s, the graves of a number of people simply could not be found. One of them was Kerr. Over the years after the cemetery closed, a ghost story about Kerr began to be told of a man sometimes seen in the area dressed in clothing of another era. He seemed to be seeking something, but no one could ever come close to him. The North Cemetery became the location of the North Market, and a retail and commercial area grew up nearby. The North Market still occupies the site, and so too does the ghost of Kerr. A local historian and tour guide, Columbus Landmarks Association Executive Director, and occasional contributing writer to the local newspaper, Ed Lentz, described his encounter with Kerr on a cold and foggy night in October many years ago. Lentz was returning the tour car after guiding some guests through the area, and as he neared the corner of Vine and Park Streets, a man appeared in the mist perhaps a few yards ahead of him. The man was dressed in the formal clothing of the 1820s and seemed to be on his way to meet someone. When Lentz reached the corner, he could see some distance, and there was, in fact, no one there. Returning to Green Lawn Cemetery, we will turn our attention to the aforementioned mausoleums within the cemetery. Green Lawn is one of the most interesting sites in Ohio. Not only is it the eternal resting place of Eddie Rickenbacker, the most celebrated ace of World War I, and the home of several former Ohio governors, it is also the home of Dr. Snook. Snook was the former head of the Ohio State University Veterinary School and even won a gold medal in the Olympics for pistol shooting. In 1930, he was sent to the electric chair after being convicted of killing his former mistress, an old teaching assistant who Snook claimed to have an inappropriate relationship with. It was during one of their encounters that things got out of hand, and Snook hit her in the head with a ball-peen hammer. I had to really edit this down so that we don't get censored. Use your imagination if you are so inclined, but wow. I'll leave it at that.
Is this where Supreme Leader Snook inspiration came from?
Maybe. The guy seems to have been a piece of work.
Yeah.
Anyways, buried in a grave without his last name to disguise his resting place, Snook is said to be seen late at night standing over his grave, hanging his head in shame for having been literally caught with his pants down. His grave can be found under the name James Howard, 1879 to 1930. Other paranormal activity is said to be centered on the main mausoleum and the Hayden Mausoleum. Arguably the most impressive mausoleum in Green Lawn, the Hayden Mausoleum was commissioned by banker Charles H. Hayden in 1904. Nearby the Hayden Mausoleum is Green Lawn's Chapel Mausoleum. Dedicated in 1902, the Chapel Mausoleum features 2 stained glass windows and 2 mosaics representing wisdom and truth. All were commissioned by P. W. Huntington, the founder of Huntington Bank, and designed by Tiffany's of New York. So, classy. The building was originally erected in 1902 and then was subsequently added to with an additional wing and carillon bells in the 1960s. Packard's personal mausoleum is of a Neo-Egyptian revival style in gray granite. The entranceway features an Egyptian doorway with lotus capitals and a bronze door with grillwork. An open lotus flower represents rebirth. The cornice tops it decorated with a winged solar motif also associated with the afterlife. It is something of a rite of passage for local teenagers to walk up to the door of the Hayden Mausoleum and knock. Often, someone, or something, will knock back. Perhaps a reply from Mr. Hayden himself? It is also rumored that on rainy nights, passers-by can hear the crying of a small child from inside. The Ohio Exploration Society recorded a few electromagnetic field spikes during their visits to the cemetery, and the mausoleums have recorded electric voice phenomena as well. The creepiest place at Green Lawn, however, isn't actually affiliated with the cemetery. Green Lawn Abbey is located on Green Lawn Avenue, just outside the cemetery. This beautiful mausoleum has often been associated with the Green Lawn Cemetery, but they are not actually connected to one another in any way. In fact, the Green Lawn Abbey was named after the cemetery to take advantage of the cemetery's good name. Built in 1927, the Abbey is an awesome structure built from Ohio limestone and Italian marble. It was the largest and finest mausoleum in Columbus, with enough space for 654 interments. There are several notable eternal residents of the Abbey, including the world-famous Howard Thurston, the magician, 5-time... Okay. You alright, Vincent?
I'm gonna go check.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be easy.
Okay. There is also 5-time Columbus Mayor George Carb and members of the Lewis Sells family, who owned the second largest traveling circus in the early 1900s. Rumors of hauntings at the mausoleum have been attached to the building for decades. The ghost of Thurston the magician is said to roam the hall of the Abbey, as well as a woman who is said to haunt the second floor. Even if these stories are folklore, the Green Lawn Abbey is a very creepy place inside. Maybe it's knowing that just inches behind the plaque on the wall lays the remains of someone who has been long gone. In the late 1900s, Green Lawn Abbey fell into a state of deep disrepair. Vandals had made a mess of the neglected structure, inside and out. In 2008, restoration efforts began, and opportunities for paranormal investigations opened up. Again, the Ohio Exploration Society managed to record several EVPs when the place was open, and they were also able to shoot video inside the Abbey. The group's encounters included hearing one of the metal gates open during their visit to the building. They expected to find an intruder in the building, but upon inspection, no one was there. Restoration work on the heavily vandalized Abbey began in 2006, and in recent years the Abbey has been a focal point of the community. In fact, they sometimes host special events, including an evening of magic that will be held this next month, Saturday, August 19th. Sounds like a delightfully creepy evening of entertainment in an amazing historic structure. So, if you want to go ahead and catch a magic show in a mausoleum in Columbus, Ohio that is haunted,
go buy tickets now and drive.
August 19th. It's your chance. Again, it's Green Lawn Abbey. If you look it up, Green Lawn Abbey, Columbus, Ohio, it should pop right up for you.
Patrick posted it for us.
Ah, cool. Good deal.
So.
But yeah, a magic show. It sounds interesting.
It does.
It does. Yes, yes.
Too bad we're already busy on the 19th.
We're always busy. Almost always. We'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna touch it. We're gonna touch on that at the end of the show. In the meantime, I think we got one more story. I think it's one more story.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong.
Alright, so we're going to go off to the Kelton House Museum and Garden, which is a Greek Revival Italianate mansion in the Discovery District of downtown Columbus, Ohio. The museum was established by the Junior League of Columbus and to promote the understanding of daily life, customs, and decorative arts during the 19th century Columbus, and to educate visitors about the Underground Railroad. Fernando Cortez Kelton was a merchant from Vermont who rose to prominence in Columbus as a dry goods wholesaler. He and his wife, Sophia Langdon Stone Kelton, built the Kelton House on Town Street in 1852. They were fervent abolitionists who used their home as a stop on the Underground Railroad. Fernando Kelton was so respected for his abolitionist work that he was selected to be a pallbearer for the funeral procession of Abraham Lincoln when Lincoln's remains were brought to Columbus on their way to Illinois for burial. The Kelton's eldest son, Oscar, joined the 95th Ohio Infantry Company A in 1862 to fight against slavery. He rose to the rank of first lieutenant before being killed in the Battle of Bryce's Crossroads on June 10th of 1864. The same year, the Keltons took in Martha Hartway, a young runaway enslaved woman from Virginia. She was raised as part of the family until her marriage in 1874 to Thomas Lawrence, a carpenter whose work can still be seen in the Kelton house. The house passed on to the Kelton son Frank. He married Isabella Morrow Colt, a suffragette who was one of our first 4 women to attend Ohio State University. Frank later traded houses with his brother Edwin to better accommodate the various sizes of their families. Edwin's daughter Grace was the last member of the family to own the house. She lived there until her death in 1975. She was one of the first people in the country to make her living as an interior decorator, having both studied at Parsons School of Design and the Pratt Institute. Her work is widely recognized, and she was one of the individuals consulted on the Jacqueline Kennedy redecoration of the White House in 1960s. After Grace's death, the house was left to the Columbus Foundation. They leased it to the Junior League of Columbus, who restored it to represent the time period between 1852 and 1900. The house now operates as a museum and events facility. Approximately 80 to 90% of the furnishings that visitors can see were actually owned by the Kelton family. It is said several members of the Kelton family still haunt the home, with frequent reports of apparitions in the form of multiple family members, unexplained voices and whispers, disappearing items, and rearranged furniture. Strange things have been happening since the beginning of the home's renovation in 1976. Workers returned to find the furniture they moved that day back in the original position, and supplies had also been moved. Museum director Georgina Reuter said that that was the first sign that it was not going to be your ordinary house museum experience. They also had just installed alarms, and the fire department suggested that they close the interior doors as a preventive measure. Evidently, that's not something the house wanted. Almost every night around midnight, the motion detectors would activate. Police would find the interior doors open again. No one was in the house. No exterior doors or windows had been broached. Evidently, the police advised the Junior League to leave those doors open, and the alarms fell silent.
Are they ghost cats? Closed doors. Can't have closed doors.
I mean, the family lived there forever, so it wouldn't surprise me there's at least a mouser in the kitchen. Right?
No closed doors, right,
no
buddy?
Closed doors.
Yeah.
We get screams. We get hacking screams.
Not so much from you. Your brother. Vincent's the screamer.
Mm-hmm. Who's currently getting high. Anyway. Almost every night. Oh, I already read that. Next. Even today, the staff will close a certain closet at night, only to find it open the next morning, even when they have blocked it with a chair.
Ghost ain't messing around.
That's something bigger than a cat.
It is. It is.
Cat has friends. Anyway. Hi, dude. A volunteer once saw a woman enter one of the bedrooms which the volunteer faced As she spoke to some guests, the wrecker recalled when the volunteer went to ask the woman to step back out of the off-limit space, she found no one in the room, just a peaceful feeling. Another volunteer ran into what she assumed to be a tall man. She turned and apologized to thin air. Someone told Rutger another day, "I didn't know there was anything going on today," explaining that she saw someone dressed as a Union soldier outside, leaning against the wall. There wasn't an event that day, but the description matched that of Oscar Kelton, the son who had died during the Civil War in 1864. Oscar is often seen haunting the garden, smoking a cigarette as he goes about his business. Though it's mostly people associated with the Kelton house who show up as ghosts, other strangers have been reported during the weddings that are held at the facility. Some guests see a little girl in an old-fashioned dress playing or running around. Later, they realize that the child is gone and didn't belong to anyone who was at the wedding. Brides occasionally get sat out place settings for any ghost who might want to drop by for the wedding. This little girl is sometimes also associated with activity in the house as well. One of the most common ghostly antics in the Kelton house has to do with the dolls. People say that if you work here and every once in a while they'll come inside to open up for the day or whatever, and they'll find a doll will be flipped over. It's a regular occurrence, and the guides just say the ghosts are playing with them, and perhaps it's the spirit of the little girl. So, who's this little ghostly girl? Well, one summer, two sisters visited the house, a part of the family who lived near Kelton House in the 1950s and 60s, and they knew the family. Well, they actually provided a possible yet very creepy explanation to the staff. One fall day around 1960, a group of neighborhood children were playing outside nearby Franklin Avenue, as they often did, and one girl asked, "Susie, can I play with your doll?" Another girl asked, "Susie, don't you want to play with us?" But Susie ignored their pleas and invitations. Later on, they found out that Susie had died the previous day. So, Susie might still be around playing with the dolls.
Mm-hmm.
The sisters and another board member and Richard went into the house. She is one of the guides there. The sister who explained about Susie jumped or was startled a little bit and said, "Oh, your air conditioning must have just kicked on." Richard watched the sister's hair move, and no one was next to her. Also, Kelton House's air conditioning is notoriously noisy. The house remained silent. Richard said that to deflect and reply, she said, "Oh, yes, it must have." But as she spoke, the paper the woman was folded in half spontaneously, and they all just looked at each other and decided, next room. Nellie Campman, a museum docent, leads the ghost tours in the museum. And she dresses the part. She is, of course, sharing her personal interactions with the apparitions. Like the time she was dusting a phonograph. Suddenly, Nellie heard the tone start to emit from the phonograph. Thinking that she may have accidentally done something and caused the sound, she checked to make sure that it was completely off, but the sound continued, without power to the instrument. Seems somebody was in the mood for some music that day. Nellie's sure it was one of the ghosts. They all like manipulating the lights. Nellie's had the lights turned all the way up, and something was off. As bright as the lights up were, they were not penetrating the room. The effect is bizarre. It's almost certainly something supernatural. The sharpest grief may have fallen upon Anna Kelton, Fernando's eldest daughter. Within 2 years' time, she lost her brother, her father, and her newlywed husband. House volunteers and staff sometimes encounter a woman in a burgundy dress pacing in the back parlor. Richard assumes this is probably Anna. She's waiting for word of their fates, trapped in worry more than a century later. And the encounters just keep evolving. Richard and other staff members witness a new horrifyingly red stain on an important white couch fade before their eyes. Recently, the house was suddenly filled with the smell of cigarette smoke. Just for an instant, but enough that your clothes will smell like cigarette smoke when you leave the building. One thing the Junior League won't do, though, is allow paranormal investigations on this property. Those who try are escorted out. The space is respected, as is the privacy of the staff and volunteers who prefer not to talk about the building's spooky experiences. The hauntings are only a small part of this house's history, so the museum tours will only touch briefly on it during the Halloween season. But the spirits that walk through the rooms and the grounds keep to their own timetable, wandering in and out as they please.
The live stream is great for my ADHD. So much stuff going on, including ghost stories. This is awesome. Apparently, whatever you're doing back there is showing up, is getting caught on the audio, cats.
I mean, I hear the toy they're playing.
I know, I hear it too.
It's one of their catnip bags.
Take your water bottle and just slide it over a little bit. I'm just curious.
We're frozen.
Nico's there.
Of course we're frozen. We've got Nico, but...
You don't need to show your butt. There we go.
Oh. Cat butt.
What? I know, I'm not paying attention to you. We're on Facebook.
Can't quite really tell, but you can see Yuna. She's kind of, in the camera, she's kind of an...
the way back there.
Yeah, a little bit of an indeterminate lump on the table back there in the camera, but...
The light's not quite hitting her eyes right.
Yeah. But anyways, that was our last story for this evening.
Yes.
So, yeah, Columbus, Ohio. Freaking haunted.
Yes.
Because that was just like the tip of the iceberg. So...
As I said, I could do one on the entire campus alone.
It won't be the last time you hear about Columbus, Ohio.
It won't be the last time you hear about Ohio because...
Oh, yeah, no.
In the future, there'll be a Cincinnati script, too.
And, I mean, well, you had started... This was originally intended to be
the Ohio
haunted state of Ohio script. And there was just too many great stories.
In Columbus that it just became Columbus.
So... There will be a generalized Ohio episode at a later date, like at some point.
But our next one's Haunted Toronto.
Yeah, we're crossing the border.
Yeah,
we're heading north of the border to the beautiful city of Toronto.
Yep. So that'll be August 14th.
Yep, and trying to think. So we have touched on Toronto a couple of times before. Mm-hmm. We haven't. I know that we had at least a couple of locations in Toronto that were in our Haunted Canada episode that we did. I need to go back and look. It's been a while. Maybe even a couple of years? Has it maybe been that long?
I thought we did.
I don't know. It all bleeds together.
I got it back because we also did Victoria and we did Vancouver and...
we didn't do an exclusive Vancouver one.
We did? Oh.
No. I think we did Canada a little over a year ago.
Okay.
But yeah, we've done Canada, and then we did one exclusive to Victoria, British Columbia. But I think,
and of course, we've also talked about other places in Canada and like haunted hotels and trains and paddleways.
I do need to go back and I'll look them all up. I'll drop notes about them in like the episode description that I still need to craft for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Toronto.
Coming up.
Yep.
And
Ye old city of York. It used to be York.
Yep.
Before they renamed it Toronto.
But then after that, on the 28th, we're going to do Haunted Universities Part 2.
Because it's almost time to go back to school.
It is time to go back to school.
Basically, yes. And Patrick does want more stories for Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And I mean, I gotta say, you think about it, it's like, a lot of people love to rag on Ohio.
But Ohio's awesome.
Ohio's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And
you and I need to get to Cedar Park.
yes, we do. But the stories for Columbus were really cool.
Yeah.
And then diving in and doing the research for this episode.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to go visit Columbus. there are things I want to go see in Columbus.
This is what he's been playing with. And he's higher than a kite now.
And it is appropriately, yes, you're seeing this correct. It
is a pill.
It is a pill.
It's a catnip pill.
It's a catnip pill. Is you stoned? Okay, anyways. But yeah, so that's what's coming up. 2 weeks. We got Toronto. 4 weeks. We got, what'd you say?
Haunted University's Part 2.
Yeah, Haunted University's Part 2 in 4 weeks. That's just the Facebook Live stuff. We are doing tours. We have availability 365 days a year.
Yes.
So
we have started the Choose Your Own Tour, so...
The official first one is next Monday.
Yeah. So again, if you are the first person to buy the 2 tickets for that tour, you get to choose the tour we do that night. And again, you do have to do this...
At least 2 days in advance.
2 days in advance.
So if you want to take, nobody is booked for next Monday yet. If you want to do the pick your own tour for next Monday, you need to book it by midnight on Saturday into Sunday. So,
yeah.
We
Otherwise, we have the night off.
Otherwise, we have the night off. But yeah, it's kind of balancing things out for us a little bit.
Yes.
Because totally burning the candle at both ends. But we would love to be able to host people every night of the year. And I would love to put my guides to work that much. Yes. But in the meantime, so this is how we're striking the balance. And we have 6 amazing
tours
to
not
offer.
Everybody can hit.
Yeah,
on the nights we've been offering them.
So, because right now, our Creepy Tales on Campus and the Spectres of Shades of Court End, they're only offered on alternating Fridays, which can be very difficult. I mean, if you're working on a Friday or something like that, good luck making it. You're not going to catch those 2 brand new tours. So they are options for the pick your own tour now. So you can go ahead, you can jump on those opportunities to go ahead and
choose one of the nights that they're offered.
So next month, starting this next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is going to be pick your own tour night, and it's going to open up. It's almost going to be wide open in September. Yeah. September, it'll be Sunday through Thursday will be pick your own tour nights.
Friday, Saturday, we will set the schedule.
Yep, we have our fixed schedule for Fridays and Saturdays. And I think in October, I think it's going to be Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But then wintertime it's going to be Sunday through Thursday every week. And that includes holidays.
Yep.
I mean, if
you got family in and you want to go out,
yep.
If you buy tickets, we'll go out.
Yep. And this does not replace our private tours. If you want to go ahead and book a private tour, by all means, go ahead, call us, book a private tour. Because the pick your own tour, you may get to pick the tour, but it's not going to be...
Other people are going to be able to buy tickets.
Other people will be able to buy tickets. It's not a private tour.
But it also doesn't have a minimum ticket requirement.
It does too.
Two. You do have to buy 2 tickets.
Well,
so yeah,
I don't know many.
I mean, very, very, very rarely have we ever only sold one ticket for a public tour.
Yeah.
Now, if we do that, well, we're going to give that tour to that one person. But
done it.
We have done it, and that'll still be options for like the Friday and Saturday stuff. But for the pick your own tour, that is kind of the cost for selecting the tour. You do have to buy at least 2 tickets to pick the tour, and also again, you do have to do it 2 days in advance. So.
Right. Well, correct. You don't have to buy 8 minimum tickets.
No. So yeah. But anyways, so that's the deal with the Pick Your Own Tour. We're very excited about the possibilities.
Yeah.
As of right now, next week, as we said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be Pick Your Own Tour. Tuesday and Wednesday already spoken for. So those opportunities are basically...
They've already been selected.
They've already been selected. You can go on. You can hop on the public tours that are going to be offered that night. I think coincidentally it works out that Tuesday's going to be Churchill and Wednesday's going to be Shadows. Mm-hmm. But Monday's still open, and I think there's one tour for the following week has been selected as well.
Yep.
So,
but so that's that. Also, we're going to be at Virginia Comic Con this coming month.
Yes.
On the 19th. So you can check out our table there, see Lee and Marcia talk about spooky stuff, buy spooky stuff.
Also, Virginia Comic Con is cool.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a really cool Comic Con over at the RI Raceway.
Yeah, Richmond International Raceway.
So.
Beth and I did it for the first time last November.
Yeah, November.
Last November, Beth and I did it for the first time, and we enjoyed ourselves so much that
we signed up for 2 more times.
Yeah, we signed up for 2 more. So next month and again in November.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that now. I mean, well, fortunately for Lee and Marcia, Beth and I are unfortunately not available for next month's Comic-Con.
We have to go move a family member into college.
Yes, so we are going to be out of town doing that, but Haunts of Richmond will still, again, be represented by the amazing Lee and our amazing guide, Marsha. They will be there to go ahead and chat up spooky stuff and sell some spooky stuff. So
Yep.
And
make sure you
Patrick,
see
I
them.
know you like to cosplay. There's a cosplay contest.
Yes, yes. So, but yeah, we were super psyched when they came out and they announced they were doing it like 3 times this year.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to do it at least twice a year, but as many times as 3 times a year.
Yeah.
COVID got in the way for a while.
Yeah.
Oh
of course.
yeah, but he I think he was the first con to operate in Richmond after COVID hit.
Yes.
And to our knowledge, no COVID cases came from Comic Con, so he was very proud of that.
And then in September we have another market we're going to be part of.
The Kismet.
Kismet Market,
Ooh,
and
they're
that's going
always
to be at
fun.
Richbrow the last Thursday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be there with our spooky jewelry and our car stickers.
Just that stuff
Just
because
that stuff. It's a maker's market.
It's a maker's market, so the stipulation is that everything has to be designed or made, basically. So we won't have the books, and we won't have the paranormal investigation equipment, but all of Beth's jewelry will be available, as well as
our paranormal is normal stickers, and I'll haunt your stick family
yes.
stickers. So
So we'll be there with that, and then it's going to be October, and October is
boy.
going to be nuts.
Yeah,
we
'cause
got
we're gonna be
Crazy.
yeah.
We're gonna be at Nightmare Weekend.
Let's not spill all the beans yet.
But
Aww.
you guys, we've already talked about
The
we're gonna
one
be
that's
there.
really cool.
I know, but tickets are not going to be on sale for that until
Did
like.
you all see what I did there? I
Yeah.
enticed people
Yeah.
to watch next time.
Yeah, you need to keep watching because
Yeah.
we're going to have more announcements about more awesome stuff coming up.
Yep.
But yeah, and even if you can't watch our full hour-long this thing, which we love to do, and we love it when you join us for it, if you can't watch the whole thing, just stay
Skip to the
tuned.
end.
Huh?
Skip to the
Skip
end.
to the end, or just keep an eye on our Facebook page because
yeah.
we
We
Yes, we
update
have
it
there,
regularly.
we update regularly. We have the events on there. We're gonna have all of it on there.
We're
so
starting to work on TikTok.
we are. I
gotta push them in the right direction.
I'm getting nudged with a cattle prod, but I'm getting nudged to do more with TikTok. So
well, TikTok is pumping.
there is a lot going on there, and admittedly, I got to admit, I am kind of looking forward to being able to do some of this stuff. The idea is that what I'm going to be doing, probably taking some of the stories that we have shared on this over the years, and I'm going to try to go ahead and distill them down into stories that are probably going to be about, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So it'll be like nice little snippets of ghost stories that I'm going to try to go ahead and post on the TikTok channel. that we have.
You said that like an old guy though.
I am an old guy. There are people on TikTok that are saying now the older generation on TikTok,
That's us.
those no. Those that were born in the mid-90s.
Oh, I know. I'm the older generation on TikTok, by the way, and that's really, really fun
I'm the
for me.
old generation.
But to be fair, Santa's on TikTok too. So
Is the Richmond Vampire on TikTok yet?
I
No.
don't know.
but you're giving me ideas you should not give me.
But yeah, so if you are interested, our TikTok handle is just simply Haunts of Richmond. So you can go ahead and look us up. Right now, I just got some little,
Just some snippets.
nothing snippets for
narrative.
like just tour ads more than anything else on there. But hopefully, I'll be able to get in and do some little
I have a suggestion.
micro
that's,
ghost story type stuff.
Did we talk about John Marshall House?
At the beginning
we
of the
do.
show.
Oh.
Yeah, we do have another special night at John Marshall House on the 26th.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. As we said, about a quarter of the tickets are already sold. So definitely, if you want to come out and see that,
We
gotta
go
get your tickets.
inside the building. I feel
Yes.
like I feel like we're skimping on the fact that we go inside
Yeah, you
the
can't
building.
emphasize enough. This is, as far as tours go, this is the only pure ghost tour that we have that goes inside anywhere.
Unless it rains in the bottom or somewhere. But
Yeah,
but we
but
never
you're
guarantee
led
that.
35 to 40 minutes inside by one of their docents. And
In
also,
the dark because they don't have overhead lighting.
Yep.
Yep.
And also a member of CPRI is there, Center for Paranormal Research, and they explain the different evidence that they have caught and experiences they've had during their investigations.
Usually it's our good friend Brad.
Usually, yes.
I think one occasion it'll wound up being one of the other guys, but in any case, all the folks at CPRI, good people. They do excellent work in the paranormal investigation community.
Yep.
So,
Brad's fun to listen to.
yeah,
he
I
is.
strongly recommend if you don't follow them already. They are not on Instagram, so
But they're on Facebook.
they are
so
on
definitely
Facebook.
check that out.
Yep. So it's just CPRI, Center for Paranormal Research and Investigation. That is their page. Go ahead and check them out. They just do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
They're just really cool guys.
Yep.
they are, and you can on top of like coming and see them participate in the stuff that we do at the John Marshall House. They will oftentimes participate in like Paracons or Comic
They're
Cons
going to
or
be at
stuff like
Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Dragon Con down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta, yes. So
They
they're going
also
to be
do
doing
their own like public paranormal investigation.
Yes,
storage, fun stuff.
particularly at Bacon's Castle.
Yes.
Bacon's Castle, they do
I gotta get on
October.
one of those for
Yeah.
next time.
They do like the ghost tours of Bacon's Castle down there in Surrey County. They would do a lot of work with Preservation Virginia, hence the John Marshall House, and also the Virginia State Park system. Now that said, the stuff that they do with Virginia State Parks, not necessarily open to the public, but
But you can review their
Yep.
research. They have an open Google file. It's part of their educational background is that they have all their evidence. Once it's been reviewed, it is posted so everybody can take a look at it.
yeah, because they are they're a
501c3.
legit 501c3 nonprofit organization. So doing great work. So
All right. So anybody else?
oh yeah we
Moving along.
Yeah. We get excited about things.
It is. It's hard not to get excited about them. And why does the calendar fill up so fast this time of year? That is an excellent question.
Year round for us.
Well, kind
Yeah,
of.
I know. Like we
Until
just
we
say
get
we
to-
have a slow season. We don't.
No.
Not really.
No, we've been working hard not to have a slow season.
Yeah. It's December. No, honestly, it is
It is
December.
December, yeah.
December, things really hit the brakes for us. If you want to get probably
Private tour.
your best opportunity to like maybe take advantage and get a small, intimate private tour on one of the book your own tour things is probably in December.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh
not-
my guys, December ghost tours are so fun.
Yeah, and I can't guarantee it's private because, well, as we said, it's like the whole. You go ahead,
But a
you
lot
choose
of
the
people
tour, but we
are-
open to the public. But a lot of people are focused on Christmas.
And
They're not-
holiday parties.
and
If
holiday
someone
parties.
wants to book a Christmas tour, Lee would be super excited to give you a Christmas tour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remember, December is the original spooky season.
It truly is. And
So-
hence, we still have to talk to our friends at Richborough about that. But
Oh.
yes, we have for several years now. We've done reading events at Richborough Brewing, where we do like the whole traditional Victorian ghost story type thing. So yeah, we'll. I'm sure that we'll probably get one of those on the calendar for December, but that probably we won't really talk about that for a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
we
Except
gotta get
right
that
now.
scheduled first.
Except right now, don't.
That was a open mouth reminder for us to do that scheduling.
Admittedly, though, you're not going to hear about it again until at least November. At least November. So, anyways, we are totally rambling.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Again,
Yeah, we're done now.
Again, keep up with the Facebook page. We'll be posting stuff as it comes up. A lot of awesome stuff going on. Keep up with us. If you have any questions, by all means, shoot us a note anytime. Happy to hear from you. But again, thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope you all have a good night.
Night night.
Bye.